Hello, and thank you for watching. Yesterday's 20-minute video was perhaps lengthy, so today I'm going to try to do the right here, right now, get in, get out version. It's March 25th, 4:30 p.m., now closer to 4:50 p.m. Eastern, and we have a number of things to talk about. The most important news of the day, of course, is that the coronavirus relief bill has been passed through the Senate. No, that's not the most important thing. Clearly, the most important thing is Prince Charles has COVID-19, and what will the monarchy do? Apparently, he's the longest serving heir apparent in Britain's history. But in any case, that's a different point. So the thing about this $2 trillion thing was that I went and read the article, and way down, like 1,000 words later, there were some pieces that made me a little nervous, and I'm going to go over them with you. The economy is almost certainly in recession, they say. I think looking out the door and seeing how much commerce is going on, pretty obvious. They go on to say without the stimulus, the economy would contract by another stunning 28% in the second quarter. A quarter. 25% is a quarter, more than a quarter in a single quarter. And that could be a massive blow. Really? It might be a massive blow? Sure, of course it is. But here's the thing, with the stimulus, we're going to do better, they say. The economy would only contract 17%, which is like 1/6 instead of 1/4. So that's better, but not great. And the chances of it being a more devastating downturn in terms of long-term economic damage is sharply reduced, Zandy says. Here's the sentence that flipped me out. His forecasts are based on the assumption that the number of U.S. coronavirus cases, about 56,000, peaks at 200,000 to 250,000 by summer. By summer, I think they mean May or June. I think New York State will be at that number in 3 days. I think the U.S. will be at 1 million sometime around April 1st. So what does that mean? Does that mean this $2 trillion will do nothing when we have such an enormous impact? It's worrisome. Andy Cohen, another celebrity, shares his terrible experience with coronavirus. He says two things. One is that it's been really hard being separated from his child, which I totally get. But the thing I wanted to bring your attention to is, he says, I feel like it's definitely working its way through my body. He said, yesterday was horrible, but I have these moments every day where I'm like, oh, wait, I think I feel totally better. And then like 10 minutes later, it's like, ugh. So this thing just lingers, and you can be fatigued for weeks. You can have really a protracted set of symptoms that are flu-like, even when the terrible cough has abated and you're not in need of any kind of oxygen support. So talking about right here, right now, I got a manuscript from a colleague of mine. It's actually a colleague of his, and he knew I was doing this modeling. And the manuscript basically makes some predictions about the world number of cases on April 1st. When the world first hits 1 million cases. And he said, I thought you might be interested. I said, not only am I interested, but I'm sure you're interested. So I wanted to show you a couple things to help put this all in perspective and forget all the individual models for a second. Yesterday versus today, past 24 hours at the 10 a.m. mark, so same time, the world added 43,000 cases. That's a lot. 2 weeks ago, looking at approximately 24 hours, the world added 7,000 cases. So 43,000 cases is more than 6 times the number of cases added in a single day now than we had 2 weeks ago, and it's still going up. So taking a look at the same data, we often talk about doubling times. Around March 10th, when we were adding 7,000 and then 7,500, it actually took us to the March 19th to double from 120 to 240, essentially. So 9 days. Well, if we look from there on the 19th to where we are now, 440, we're actually closer to 460 now. We're almost doubled today, and we will probably be doubled by tonight. So we've gone from 9 days to 6 days, and it will continue shrinking. The doubling time for the world might be 4 days in a week and a half, which would just be terrifying. That's my favorite word, I guess, which would be very upsetting. That's much better. So I said, okay, I'm going to model the whole world because that's what this colleague of mine did, and we're going to see who's right. So I took the last 10 days or 14 days, ran the model using my log transform, did some predictions, and this is all the math that came out of my stats program, and we predict about 800,000 cases on March 31st. Now, this is the residual plot. So this is how well, where I have data, through my model, my estimate actually matches, and it has this V or U shape, which suggests that there's an acceleration happening that the linear model is not picking up on. So it might be more than that. So I did some more modeling, and I think it might be closer to 850 or maybe even 900,000 by March 31st in the world. Now you say, okay, so Doug says over here, 850,000 in the world, and yesterday he showed us all this bunch of stuff about the states, and said that New York's going to have 500,000 cases and the world's going to have 1 million. So, as with yesterday and today, the issue is whether aggregate models or disaggregated models outperform. So when you have lots of states and countries, the overall growth rate of the world is probably going to be dominated by the places it's growing fastest. And so you might find that modeling individual places gives you a higher overall predicted growth, as we did with the US. When we model the entire country as one group, we get 500,000 as our estimate for March 31st. If we model each state and allow some of the fast growing states to gallop ahead of the pack, we get 1 million. So what is this paper we're talking about? This is a paper in Global Epidemiology. They predicted 1 million cases outside of China. They used World Health Organization situation reports data just like I did. They used this exponential function, hint, math here. If you take the log of AEX to the BX, so that's AE to the BX, when you do that, you're going to get log of A plus B log of X. And it's going to be all fabulous because it's actually fitting the same kind of model. So their model, they give some important pointers. They say, look, this is a really simple heuristic approach. It makes simple assumptions that the current trend continues for 17 days. I agree. They found in their model that they believe the world will cross over the 1 million mark outside of China between situation report 70 or 71 on the 31st or 1st of March or April. This is that figure they're referring to. So my US model and this model suggests we're going to hit 1 million by April Fool's Day. My model of just looking at the world as an aggregate is probably an underestimate. It was closer to 850,000 or 900. Even in that model, we'd hit 1 million a day or two later. So whatever the model is right, we're not going to ventilate our way out of this problem. It's growing too fast. And I have a little, bromance with or man crush on John Campbell. He doesn't know who I am, so it's sort of a one-way thing. But he has come up with several expressions. He pronounced the elbow bump cool and socially appropriate and gracious about 2 weeks ago, and I agree. So to all of us. But his new one is 2 meters distance determines our existence. Maybe a little stark. But basically, if we don't distance ourselves and we give this virus a chance to keep spreading, bad. So don't let it spread. Do your part. Stay away. Humans are infectious. They're horrible, dirty things. Stay away.